So let's see what the damage is. Here we go. Strap. There's one. There's the other one. Two strings busted at the same moment. So this is how we do. This is how we fix this. Or at least this is how I fix this. First things first, we get the old ones off. If either one of these are long enough, as is, I'll tie them on again. They'll be reused. That's the point. Just check that I am to keep recording. There we go. So, could put some music on in the background too, usually, but this time I'm gonna keep it off while I do this. So this one should be long enough. Let's just double check it. Not only did it bust, it busted like proper. That is indeed long enough. That's the D string. So he'll be used again. And then there's this B string. This is like a 17 gauge. The other one's a 13. This is one of the beautiful things of actually using a heavy gauge string. They don't need to tie on again well, but they last for a long time. And they're stretched once already. They tend not to take so long to tune either. This one's, I think, might have been tied on once already, although it doesn't show it. No, it'll fit. So both of these will go back on again. Here's how we do it. I'm gonna hold on to the string here. You can feel a little better. There's a loop end for these things, say. It just comes around these little hooks here. And the loop end generally is just looped around once and then kind of tied off around. It's almost like a noose. Very similar to a noose knot. Or say like a general slip knot. So since that is the case, you can tie these on real easy. In fact, this is easier than tying them into a guitar, although I've done that for many a year. Like made sure to use the string as much as possible until it couldn't be used anymore. The one thing I don't have here at the moment, which makes this a little bit easier, is a pair of needle nose pliers. But I will be able to get this in around here twice to get this to tie on proper. So here I'm making one loop with the string before I tie anything. But after I've looped it around, I take it off and then I bend it around the back of the string, so that I've got the beginnings of a loop started on there, and the string itself is catching itself through the loop. I don't know if you can really see that too clearly there, but it's underneath the string as opposed to on top of the string. So after doing that once, I'll bring it around a second time underneath that thing again, underneath the hook, like bend it around so that I know it's going to fit. Back it off underneath the string a second time. Now I've got a double loop. It's basically two half hitches. These two half hitches slip comfortably underneath that hook, and there they are. That string is now ready to go back on. Up we go to the top, where the tuning peg is pretty much already in position. We put that there. And well, the long part, just twisting it back on again. Tuning. So yeah, it doesn't even slip off the bottom there. Once it's been half hitched twice, you bring the string up through tight so that it slips up over that hook as tight as possible. Then if you keep a certain amount of tension on the string upwards, it won't back off on itself, and because it's bent, it is a wire, so it bends and holds the bend once it's bent, which makes this a little bit easier. I actually find this part probably the hardest right now because this string has been on once already, so it's It's got a certain amount of kinks and twists and bending already in the string from previous use. There we go. It's slipping. And this is as nice a job as I've done on that in something of a long time. As you can see there, it's just got this little piece that sticks up. I gotta be careful not to ram my hand on there and catch tetanus, but other than that, fairly straightforward. Here's the last one. This is the trickier one. The thinner the string, the easier it is to get it tied on, but the harder it is to get it to stop from backing itself off. I also find it easier to do it this way, not to string it all the way up through, but just to pass this string out through the back of the, basically from string it backwards. What I mean is I start by putting the string that way as opposed to up and through like you would with a normal one. And then we go down and up around again. That's the second loop. Here we now have 2 half hitches. We get both underneath the hook. Grab the end of the string, loop it on, and this one's done. Careful not to catch this kink from the where it's been tuned once already, where it's been on a winding peg. It actually has a really hard bend, which will crack. The string will pop there if you give it a chance. So the best thing to do is to try to keep that straight as possible, even to straighten it out with your fingers first, so that all the kinks and obvious bends in the string are more or less straightened out, and that way you don't end up with the string being, say, seated on the seated or wound improperly. There we go, bend that up. Notice I don't have to cut the strings the second time I tie them on. And if I cut them the first time, they wouldn't go on at all. But it just so happens if you don't cut the string and it pops on the bridge, you should have enough extra to tie it on a second time. I just noticed something on Facebook there. I don't know if I'm going to respond to it or not, but at least the person who sent it to me is pretty fucking cool. So here we go. That one's slipping. This one's getting pinned. Sometimes these slip more than they do. Sometimes they will slip and sometimes they won't. But because these are both tied on twice, they ought not. Once they've found their tightness, they'll stick. And like, as I say, there's bending, there's like kinks and stuff in the string from where they were up on a tuning peg up here once already. So there will be a certain amount of give to the string. It'll want to be tuned. But once it gets tuned, it'll stay tuned. Same 2 strings I busted once already, they're back on.